All right, now it's time for a little fantasy football with our guy D Nasty supporting his Phillies hat. There might not be some bitterness involved in that, is there, Dave?
A little bit bitter, yes, definitely. It was a tough loss seeing Devin blow that lead, especially when I thought we were going to have it too, man. That was brutal. That's Wisconsin fans for you. They just rip your hearts out every playoff time for every team.
Are you kidding me? I get the worst of it. I'm a Bears fan and a Badger fan. I don't know how the hell I got such a bad card, man. I wish I could at least had the Packers with watch a couple Super Bowls with Favre and Rodgers or something.
Yeah.
Although you guys only did get two with two Hall of Fame quarterbacks, so there's that, I guess.
At least we have Hall of Fame quarterbacks, though.
Hey, man, we have a quarterback now, so we're gonna have to talk a little bit about that, my friend. Fantasy football week 6. We keep trucking along. Dave, we have some bye weeks coming up. Want to get into that?
One of the teams is playing tonight, actually, the Chiefs. So, yeah, definitely. Kareem Hunt has actually been startable this last couple of weeks, so get him out of your lineup. Patrick Mahomes, of course, is going to be a big one. Travis Kelce. Borderline, maybe Xavier Worthy. You're possibly maybe starting him, but those are the major guys for them. And then the Rams, there's maybe Matthew Stafford is maybe borderline. A lot of the receivers right now are injured, so you really don't have many receivers. Kyren Williams is going to be the main guy there. Colby Parkinson, maybe deeper leagues you're starting him, probably not. But those are the guys for the Rams. Dolphins, they just look horrible. Them and the Patriots are two of the worst teams, I think, right now. They definitely missed Tua. Tyreek Hill, I don't even think he's startable right now, but you're still starting him just because he's a top 5 receiver normally when he's going well.
Well, when's Tua come back? It's got to be either the next. I know they have a bye, but maybe it's the next game.
2 weeks at least. So it's brutal though. So yeah, he's not gonna be back after their bye because they have one more week, I think, and after that. But then Jalen Waddle, the running backs are a little bit banged up there too. Right? Raheem Mostert is injured like usual. Your boy, he's injured like usual. And then the Devon
Mostert's not injured. Mostert's not injured. He's back.
He was injured before.
He played last game and got 100-some yards.
Okay. All right.
But that's because Achin got injured.
Yeah, Achin got injured though too. So so yeah, you're not really starting many running backs there. So and then the wide receivers are borderline right now to start too. So you don't really have many fantasy guys on the Dolphins right now. Vikings, that's actually been a gold mine. Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones. This comes at a good time for Aaron Jones. He got a little banged up. We'll talk about that. Sam Darnold, he's just been dropping dimes here. None of the tight ends are really startable right now for the Vikings, but those are the major guys for the Vikings as well. So get all those guys out of your lineups this week for those buys.
The 5-0 Vikings. We have to deal with that in our division. We can spat about the Bears Packers as much as you want, while the Lions and Vikings are just sitting there looking fat. You know, that's exactly. Just. I mean, let's face it, that's the real challenge in front of both of us. Key injuries. It's funny, Dave. I don't have a ton of them. I only wrote 3 down that were key enough to write down, in my opinion. Aaron Jones hurt his hip, but they say he might come back after the bye. So we'll see. I find it interesting that a lot of these teams have buys that were injured, like Achin. He was ruled out with a concussion, but he can come back now after the bye. And Nico Collins had that hamstring injury after that long touchdown he caught. So that affected the Texans a little bit. But Dave, man, I looked on Thursday Night Football. I didn't see a lot of stuff. Maybe you can fill in the gaps.
Yeah, there's a couple out there. Zach Moss, actually, he avoided a serious injury. He was left in overtime. It looked like they're saying, just double checking here. I think it was a hamstring injury is what they were saying. They said it wasn't as severe as they thought either. So he shouldn't miss much time. They're saying, hopefully. And then Collins with a hamstring injury. Rashid Wrights today, they announced that he will miss the season. He won't make a full recovery though. It wasn't an ACL. They're saying it was an LCL sprain or LCL tear. So they're saying that it's not as massive of an injury as they thought. So for all you dynasty guys, you can breathe a little bit sigh of relief. They said Christian McCaffrey won't play until week 6. Just a couple other updates here. Josh Allen, they thought he had concussion, but he wasn't in the concussion protocol, so he will play next week. And then Evan Ingram, they said he could return week 6 possibly too as well. And then Gardner. Then we actually do have a quarterback controversy here again. Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell. They're not sure who's going to start next week there. My bets are Aiden O'Connell. He played well last year with the last 6 to 8 weeks when he was playing. He 18 touchdowns to 0 interceptions, but I think he starts. I don't think Minshew's the answer there. Jake Moody, actually.
Dave, that problem reminds me of a South Park episode. You vote for a turd sandwich or a giant douche. That's that's pretty much their quarterback issue in the Raiders.
Yes. Jake Moody, actually, that's actually a major injury. One of the top kickers, actually, right now. He is ankle injury. Is expected to miss several weeks, actually, with a high ankle sprain. So that's a major blow, actually, to the 49ers and for fantasy leagues because he's actually been kicking really well, and he's been a higher scoring fantasy kicker for most people. Rodgers actually should be fine. They said an ankle injury. I don't care if he did miss time. I'm done with Rodgers. I'm glad he's not on our team anymore. So.
I thought about putting Jake Moody up, but he's a kicker, man. And Aaron Rodgers, he's just going to complain about his injuries as an excuse all year. Overrated Rodgers, Dave.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I'm 100% glad he's gone. And then actually, Titans quarterback Will Levis should play this week with this shoulder injury. They said he should be back next week, actually. Travis Etienne, actually, he left with a shoulder injury. Bigsby looked good.
Bigsby looked great.
He did. They said he's the comeback player of the year. He's one of the most improved players. But anyways, we'll get into that in a minute. But Etienne, they said he should be back. Dobbs actually 1 game suspension this past week. He is back practicing on Wednesday, so he should be back this week as well.
Yeah, a lot of updates and less injuries. I think that the Hawkinson's going to be interesting when he gets back on the Vikings. The Vikings look different when Aaron Jones went out. So if he doesn't play next week, that's going to be interesting. But that brings us up to the waiver wire. And I have tried Ty Chandler there if you can stomach it, but he sucks, man. He is not good at all. It almost reminds me of that situation if you spent money getting Samaje Perine. Notice how they signed Hunt, and now Hunt is like the main guy on the Chiefs tonight, Just kind of one of those weird situations. I don't think he's going to last, is my point. Wide receiver Tank Dell for the Collins injury. I think Tank Dell and John Mechie will benefit from the Collins injury. So I have both of those as waivers. Jalen Wright for the Achin injury. I think Jeff Wilson's toast. I think Jalen Wright is the guy that you want to own after Achin and Mostert. Joe Flacco. I don't know why this team has a quarterback controversy. He is much better than Anthony Richardson right now, at least. Dude, he was balling
last year. He's even to the playoffs last year. Look at Watson. He's a mess. You can't even give him a win this year. Watson's just horrible. They should have kept Flacco.
These terrible GMs. They should have kept Baker Mayfield if you want to go deeper. Oh, the poor Browns. Wide receiver Jordan Whittingham. And Dave, that was his nasty sleeper last week. He was still a little nasty, though. He wasn't great. He had a few catches.
What are you talking about? He had 6 or 7 catches for like 80 yards.
Did he
go off?
Okay. I thought he had no touchdowns. Okay.
No touchdowns, but he had a solid game.
Yeah, he actually did have a solid game. You're right. I think it was a lot in the fourth quarter. 89. Yeah, he did. I'll take that back for you, Dave. That was a decent sleeper. Just too bad he didn't get in the end zone because my sleeper, Dave, Trevor Lawrence, he was like top 10 player last week. So I was happy with Trevor. It was his birthday. It was his birthday. It was his birthday on Sunday, so that helped. And take Bigsby, dude. Oh my God. I think he might take over for Etienne, even though Lawrence played with Etienne. Etienne's fumbling. They are not happy with Etienne on Jacksonville. He's fumbled a couple times already. I think Bigsby's going to at least get half the carries as a split, if not better. Tank Bigsby has earned it. He's going to be a big waiver pickup this week. In Yahoo, he's available in quite a few leagues. Alec Pierce for Indy. But I tell you this, I like Pierce a hell of a lot better if it's Joe Flacco. So we'll see how that kind of develops. I just don't know how you can go back to Richardson. Running back Tyrone Tracy was big against the Seahawks last week for the Giants. Damian Pierce was out. And not Pierce. Singletary was out, wasn't he? I thought Singletary was out.
Yeah, last week.
Yeah, I need an update on him, but Tyrone Tracy will probably earn some more workload, in my opinion, and tight end Colby Parkinson for the Rams. Dude, he is second out of all tight ends in targets this year. Colby Parkinson. So, I mean, I know Tyler Higbee is kind of hanging out. I don't know when he's going to come back from that nasty injury last year, but I think you pick up Colby Parkinson.
Yeah, for bye week fill-in, yeah, definitely. I'd pick up Parkinson in a heartbeat for a bye week fill-in. But like I said, they are on bye this week though, so this week's not going to be. But maybe a nice little stash for after the bye.
Yeah, I think you stash him, and you'll need a tight end too if you're only carrying one tight end because of your bye. So think about it. Why don't you break us down some more waivers?
Sounds good. Derek Carr, good matchup against Tampa Bay's poor pass defense. And then Bo Nix, he's actually coming around now. All the rookies, it's kind of funny. All the rookies won last week. Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, and Caleb Williams. All three starting rookie quarterbacks all won last week. Actually,
yeah, they're really good. Yes, they're all really good, and they both won the last 2 weeks. And so you wonder what's going. I mentioned that in the show earlier. You wonder about the other guys. If you're the Patriots, I also throw Drake May in sometimes. Maybe Michael Penix can get some more cleanup time if there is for Atlanta.
Cousins looked good though, man. I watched that game. Cousins was balling, man.
He does look good.
Yards.
Hey, can you pause it real quick? Jay Smells. I hope that doesn't tell us. I don't know what that means, but should I trade Metcalf and Tank Dell for James Conner, Waddle, and Moody? DK Metcalf has been a fumbling freaking machine lately, and he's driving me nuts. I actually have him in a segment coming up. Tank Dell is only going to be good for a week or two. He's a third receiver there. He's going to be inconsistent, and James Conner is one of the top guys over at Atlanta. Waddle is going to get better, and Mooney has been solid. Yes, I would make that trade, Dave.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would trade Metcalf and Tank Dell. Yeah, James Conner, he's a top 10 running back this year. He's had 2 or 3 huge weeks already this year too. Waddle, once Tua comes back, he's going to be a top 15, top 20 receiver. And Mooney, he's actually been blowing up. He's actually having a breakout year right now. So yeah, I'd definitely do that trade. Like I said, Dell hasn't done anything. Dell has been injured. So yeah, Dell hasn't done really anything this year. Like you said, he's at the third receiver on that team behind Diggs and Collins. Who knows what long Collins is? Even with Collins out last week, Tank Dell didn't really do much. So I definitely like that trade on his end.
Yeah, and I might not start Waddle much, but we start Moody. Did you see Mooney the last few weeks? He was massive last week, and it wasn't just a one thing. Now you got Cousins there. He's going to be throwing to Drake London and Mooney. So yeah, absolutely, I would make that trade. DK Metcalf is a head case too. He could see him quitting on that team at some point. Why don't you continue, Dave?
Yeah, and Drake London actually too got banged up at the end of that game too. I think he should be fine this week, but I keep an eye on that though too. I got Bigsby as well. I like him a lot. Like you said, I agree with you that could be a timeshare going forward for sure. Definitely at least a 50-50 timeshare going forward for that one. I had Tyrone Tracy as well. I like him. They were high. I was high on him at the beginning of the year, even if you remember some of our beginning podcast. I thought he could be a breakout guy this year. He's a guy I really like. If he gets some more opportunities there, Singletary might not get many carries when he gets back. But yeah, definitely like Tyrone Tracy as well. Gibson, I know we talked about him last week, but actually it was very surprising. Stevenson had a better game this week. He had 16 touches, but they each got 28, each the same amount of snap count this week, actually. Stevenson and Gibson both played 28 snaps each, so they were split very evenly, right down the middle for snaps per se. But Stevenson got more carries, 16-7, and had the better game. But just keep an eye on that going forward because that's an interesting situation to watch. So definitely keep your eye on that. I had Ty Chandler for the Aaron Jones injury. He actually looked pretty good. I'm still not sold on him. Even in the past when he started, he still hasn't really put up big games. He had a few nice runs though. I was watching that game. So I think he'd be a capable fill-in if Jones does miss a week or two. But hopefully he's back after the bye. Josh Downs, he's another breakout guy I really like. Now that he's healthy, I talked about him last week even. If he's still out there, definitely scoop him up. Julian Tolbert with Cooks out this past week. Keep an eye on that. Cooks might be out again. If he is, Julian Tolbert actually had a pretty nice game. 7 catches, 87 yards, and a touchdown on 10 targets. So that's actually pretty nice stat line right there. Julian Polk, even though the Patriots are just awful right now, but if they do ever start Drake May, Polka's a nice rookie receiver to watch. He logged a team high 60 snaps and ran 37 routes in week 5. So he's one of their leading receivers in those two areas. So definitely keep an eye on him. Michael Wilson against Green Bay. Green Bay has been giving up some quite a few passing yards these last couple of weeks. And Darius Slayton, too, had a monster game this past week. If he's still out there, pick him up. If Neighbors is out again, Slayton did his best Neighbors impression this past week. So if he's still out there, nab him. Another tight end I really like, actually, is Cato Otten. We haven't really talked about him lately, but he is kind of putting together last couple weeks. He's actually looked pretty good. So if you need a tight end on for some of the buys this week, definitely take a look at him. And for the last but not least, Eagles defense, even though they have struggled this year, guess who they're playing? The Cleveland Browns. That's all I got to say. Deshaun Watson has just been looked horrible. Njoku is probably going to be out this next week again. He did get injured at the end of the game. Now it's his knee. So dude just can't stay healthy. So they lost him again. So I like the Eagles D against them. That's a nice little matchup there for week 6. So that's a defense.
I thought Njoku was okay though. No,
I don't think
we should have mentioned him then. We probably should have mentioned him on the injuries. Because he was one of my guys that I could see beating the Eagles D, because the Eagles D is terrible too.
Well, we'll see. Keep an eye on that, because he did get his knee injured. He didn't come back in after that. So at least I was watching that game. I didn't see him come back in. So they really didn't give any updates on him right now. But they're saying his knee and he left the game. So I never saw him come back. So
yeah, we'll have to get a better update throughout the week. Yeah, because I do like him if he's healthy. So was that your trending up too, or was that just your waivers?
No, just waivers.
Okay, yeah, because let's go right to trending up, you think, for week 6, Dave?
Sounds good. Trending up, got a couple of guys that I like here. I do like Rashawn. I'm going to say it wrong here. Rashawn Johnson.
Rashawn Johnson from the Bears.
Rashawn Johnson, yes. I like him actually trending up this week against that poor Jaguars D. And they've been getting him more and more carries. He's kind of taking over as the lead back there almost. Swift is still getting more carries, but Johnson's actually looking really strong there. I like him. And then I do like Jeremy Mickles. He's actually been coming on too. He's kind of like a little sleeper actually for the Commanders backfield. He's kind of taking over some of Eckler's snaps, so I kind of like him. He's kind of trending up right now. Wicks is trending up too, even though he didn't have the breakout game I was hoping he would this past week. I definitely think it's coming next week because Watson's still going to be out. So I like him as trending up this week. I like Michael Wilson too, actually. He had a pretty solid game this past week. Harrison didn't do much, and Wilson actually had quite a few catches. He's trending up, and the Green Bay has been struggling in the pass defense a little bit here. Another guy I like, Bruce Irvin, I like him too. He's been trending up. I liked him last week too as well. I like him this week again. Do not like Watson this week, but I do like the Eagles this week. They're gonna. I think Devontae Smith comes back this week, and maybe AJ Brown. We gotta get an update on him too. So definitely want to see what those two guys are doing this week. Another guy that I like this week is going to be. I like Aiden O'Connell. I think he starts this week and has a nice game this week against and then Darnell Mooney. If you weren't starting him before, you definitely are now. And then Darius Slayton, he actually had, like I said, he had that nice game this past week, and I like him this week against that Bengals D. The Bengals D just looked horrible, and the Ravens D. Both of those.
Isn't the Steelers? But isn't it the Raiders playing Steelers? I don't think I would like any Raiders quarterbacks playing the Steelers, man.
Yeah, the Steelers are a really tough D, but I think Aiden O'Connell still does well this week.
Well, he might end up taking the starting position. Yeah. Is the interesting part. He'd be a possible waiver wire pickup. But I do think TJ Watt can absolutely mess those guys up. And Crosby's been really good on the other side, but when he's not in, Denver actually had a pretty good game after that pick 6 happened. Sounds good. Well, I got some too. I got the defense of the Texans against the Patriots. I think that should be a nice defensive move this week. Bears tight end Cole Kmet against Jacksonville's bad defense should be good. Jacksonville gave up a ton of yards to Mo Alley Cox last week. Rome Odunze versus the Jags. I think he's going to be okay. He's not a starter, so maybe he can be this week. Justin Fields at the Raiders should get some yards. I think Justin Fields has been pretty relevant fantasy guy just because of all his rushing and everything. He did throw for 2 touchdowns last week too.
I think he's a borderline starter now, actually, though, definitely.
Is he? I guess it depends on who you have, but he's hard
Yeah.
to trust, but maybe he is. So we won't mention him again if he balls out this week. Wide receiver Luke McCaffrey against the Ravens. Believe it or not, the Ravens are giving up a lot of pass yards. You saw it yesterday against the Bengals.
The Denali Brown's actually been playing well for them too. He's actually been getting more catches than McCaffrey, actually. But so I like both of those guys, actually.
Dude, it took him forever to gel over there, man. That's what a quarterback does, I guess. I think I got sick on holding him onto him in my dynasty league and let him go like a year or two ago. And now he's finally showing up. Kind of like the Justice Hill thing. It's like, now you're showing up. Rashid Shaheed is having a great game tonight, and he's going to be playing the Buccaneers, which you saw Kirk Cousins pick away on Thursday night. So I'm looking at Shaheed next week. Quarterback Will Levis, you mentioned him for waivers at the Colts. Definitely like him. Chase Brown, running back against the Giants D, looks pretty good. I think those running back Chase Brown will get plenty of carries, especially if what's his name can't play.
Zach Moss.
Yeah. So he'd be big. Tight end David Njoku, if he's healthy. So we'll monitor him this week. Eagles D's bad. And watch Nick Chubb. I don't know if he's coming back this week, but he could. So
I think it's another week or two on. They said Hawkinson's actually practicing now. They opened his practice window. So he's actually practicing right now. So is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So that's actually another interesting guy to keep an eye on. Because if he comes back, he could definitely jump right into that starting role or even split carries with Hunt too. So two guys that are coming back that would be interesting to watch.
Samaji's toast. Bus. Running back Brian I'll just score the bus. Brian Robinson at the Ravens. Sorry. I love Washington the way they're playing this year. They've been fantasy studs, but now they're going to the best rush defense in the land. Running back Alexander Madison versus Pitt's a bad matchup too. Running back Javonte Williams hosting the Chargers. Chargers have a good D. They still got Harbaugh. They got Harbaugh there. So, I think they're coming off the bye. They'll be feeling good. Wide receiver Michael Pittman against the Titans isn't that good. So I think they're going to put their best guys on there. Probably Snead. Wide receiver Keon Coleman against the Jets is rough. Jets have a Sauce Gardner there. Running back Travis Etienne isn't good against the Bears, in my opinion. The Bears have had a pretty dang good top 8, top 6 type D this year. Quarterback Trevor Lawrence against the Bears. I know it's in London, and they're used to playing in London, but I can't trust Trevor Lawrence completely. I like him. But man,
you're sleeper of the week last week, man.
You know what? You're high on him one week, you're low on him the other, Dave. And that's how sports betting is. That's how I am with fantasy. Quarterback Kyler Murray against the Packers, even Dave. He had too good of a game at the end, feeling too good about beating the Niners without their field goal kicker last week. So he's suspect this week against the Packers, and same with Marvin Harrison Jr. against the Packers. If Jari Alexander's is playing, I don't like Marvin Harrison Jr. quite as much. Those rookies, man, they get picked on pretty hard. The corners don't want to let a rookie beat them ever.
No.
Quarterback Geno Smith against the mad 49ers defense is gross, and running back Kenneth Walker against the 49ers isn't great. DK Metcalf just fumbled again, I think, against the 49ers. So DK Metcalf is just, forget about him. So what about your bus?
I had the same one. I don't like the Seahawks against the Niners. I think they're pissed off this week, like you said. I think they do play well. I don't like that matchup for them. I don't like Geno Smith or Kenny Walker against them. I do actually agree with you. I like the Bears D. Definitely downgrading Lawrence and Etienne this week too against them. I hate to say it, but Jane Downs has been balling up. This might be his one bad week actually against the Ravens, even though the Ravens' pass D has just been atrocious. I think he might struggle this week against the Ravens D. I think the Ravens D kind of bounces back this week. And I don't like Robinson either. I don't like either one of them against the Ravens. I think actually I'm gonna disagree with you on this one. I think Kyler Murray actually has a good week against the Packers. Packers pass D is not good so far this year. I think Kyler Murray could do well this week. I do agree with you on Harrison though. If Jair plays, I think he shuts him down because that's their main guy. So Jair is definitely going to shut him down. But yeah, I think Murray could actually have a decent week against the Packers. I hate to say that, but I think the Packers still win. But I think Murray could have a decent week. I do not like the Patriots against the Texans. I think I totally agree with you on that. Jacoby Brissett's not startable. Neither is another. Maybe Ramad Stevenson still is possibly, but I don't like that he's splitting carries now with Gibson. And in playing time. So I think we downgrade him too as well. So not starting any Patriots this week either. I'm actually downgrading the Buccaneers running backs. The Saints still have a good run D, and they did last year as well. I don't like Irvin or Rashad White against the Saints' tough run D. Definitely downgrading them. I agree with you on the Chargers too. I don't like the Broncos running backs against them this week. Bo Nix even might struggle against them a little bit this week too. The Chargers haven't been getting up many points this year, and they are coming off the bye, and they have a good D. So I do agree with you on that. So I like that matchup. Don't like that matchup as well. Cowboys, they struggled this last week, and they didn't even play anyone that great. And they're
well.
Yeah, they barely won, man. So I'm downgrading them against the Lions. I think the Lions have a legit D, and they're going to be coming to play. That's a big game for both of those teams, actually. I think they can beat the Cowboys, and I think Dak can struggle against them. Their running game, Rico is not the answer there. Neither is Zeke. Zeke is just garbage. He's done. But
yeah, I will say that the Seahawks really look good against the Lions D though, and they didn't look good last week against. I mean, it was a short week and all that, but
yeah,
just think
I don't know.
about
We'll
that.
see.
I'm not sure.
I don't. Rico's actually played well the last couple weeks, but I think Dak struggles a little against the Lions this week. I think they come after him, so I don't like that matchup. I don't like the Bills. Actually, they're a little short-handed right now with Khalil Shakir out too. I think they struggle a little bit against the Jets too. They've been struggling the last couple weeks actually, so downgrading them a little bit this week as well. Josh Allen hasn't looked that good the last couple weeks at MVP level like he had the previous week. So the Jets D has been balling. They've actually looked really good this year. So I'm downgrading James Cook and Allen against that tough Jets D.
No, makes sense, man. Well, that's time for our nasty sleeper then, Dave. Who you have for this week, week 6, that's going to win our fantasy football week?
I'm going with Chase Brown. You discussed him a little bit before. Running backs win your leagues, man. That's what I always say. I always bank on my running backs. I think he has a big week this week against that poor Giants D. And I don't think Zach Moss, if he's not out, he's going to be very limited this week. So I think Chase Brown steps up and has a monster day.
Yeah, man, I love it. Great pick, obviously. You know I like him, and I mentioned him, so great job. I'm going to go with a pretty nasty one. Jalen Tolbert against the Lions D. I think the Cowboys will have to pass to someone. They're going to be trying to blanket CeeDee Lamb. It's going to be Jalen Tolbert that's sitting out. And you remember Cooks is out on the shelf for a few weeks with his bad injury, right? Brandon Cook. So Jalen Tolbert is going to be the guy to throw to deep. Probably might break one. He's my nasty sleeper, Dave.
I like it. Yeah, he had a good week last week. I was talking about before, like in our pickups. So yeah, I definitely like that one actually.
All right, anything we missed?
I don't think so. Just make sure you get those buys out, like those people up for your buys, and go pack.
All right. Well, big weekend coming up. Thank you guys so much for listening to this show. If you have any questions, feel free to tweet us at the Oddsbreakers. Email us at info@theoddsbreakers.com. Have a great rest of your week and go get some winners.